Hello again, everybody. It's Harry Boxer, the technical trader at thetechtrader.com. Saturday morning, May the 2nd. This is the weekend webinar. Well, a hell of a market, and the market is really extended, but the momentum is phenomenally strong. We keep pushing. Take a look at the move we had off the low so far. 63.16 to 72.72 from top to bottom. Approaching 1,000 points. And that's something like 15% on the S&P 500 in just 5 weeks. One of the biggest rallies we've ever had. But that kind of rally, and is very similar to what we had in April, May. Now, when you get that kind of a move, it often leads to more momentum to the upside. Yeah, I know everyone's talking about tops in here. I'm not talking about anything other than what the market's telling us. Right now, the market's showing me strength. Now, there is some concern. I'll show you that in a minute, especially with transportation, but then a lot of that has to do with the price of oil. For now, the S&P 500 at all-time high is 72.30, which is still 42 points off the high from Friday, but up 21 on the day, only 0.3%. Nevertheless, another new all-time high. The Nasdaq 100 has only gone from the March 30th low of 22.841 to 27.787. 5,000 points, folks. Pretty close. And that's in the order of 23% in just 5 weeks. Pretty amazing move. And you can see we're extended. But based on several projections for the Nasdaq 100, we could be looking at 30, even 32,000 before it's over. Now, I don't know what. Look, the market's extended short term. It could pull back at any moment. But the trend is your friend and momentum is strong. Still. I'll show you some stuff that belies the trend. First of all, here's the transportation and what I was talking about in terms of negative divergence. But again, it has to do with the price of oil, as most transportation stocks are affected by crude oil. Crude oil obviously spiked up, and you can see how this thing ran up earlier when oil came down, but now, obviously, a different thing. Now, it is at a support level, so we're trying to see if it stabilizes there. Small caps coming along for the ride. The all-time high on Friday, 279.81, closing 278.88. About a point off the high, but still up 1/3% on Friday. And it's a beautiful flag pattern above the breakout point. So what's the extension target? It looks like something around 305, 6, 7 up there. It's possible. Again, if the market goes into the blow-off stage, that wouldn't shock me. There's a look at the major indices we follow. Let's look at the underlying technicals. And this is what I was talking about. Because the market is just not keeping pace internally, because the McClellan Oscillator is comprised of advanced declines in up-down volume, we're now only at a +8. Now, we were a week and a half ago +140. That's an overbought territory. Right now we're back to neutral. Can the market can sustain and advance with the oscillator at neutral? I guess it can, but it isn't going to be healthy. So something to be cautious about. And the percentage of stocks participating are only 3 out of 5 stocks. So 59% of stocks are in above the 40. And so, again, it's not a broad rally. It's not a broad market. And this is what you see at the tail end and the very bull market, where you start to see lack of participation and negative divergences. The Dow, I'm not going to get into the Dow, but let's just say that the Dow has not confirmed anything, but I could care less. I don't think that's reflective of the market. It hasn't been for years, but it's 30 stocks that can be changed and rigged anytime, and they've done that for years. That's my take. Okay, so there's the McClellan Oscillator for stocks above, the oscillator for stocks above, or the index for stocks above the 40-day moving average. Let's move on to the VIX, which is volatility, and reached in March at the low 35, which is very unusual because the last couple of lows we had, this thing reached in the 60s and 70s. And we've had readings in the high 80s and more. Back up here, 90 in 08. But let's just put it this way. Since 2020, when we reached 85, we haven't seen anything near other than a couple one-day spikes up into the 60s. Those were at the lows of those pullbacks. This time, Oscillator only got to plus 35. And right now, it's under 17. That tells me that fear is not in the market. Not yet, anyway. All right. Now we'll look at some of the components. Well, before we do that, some of the ETFs that we follow, the SMH is really, I want to point this out because this is where divergence comes in, folks. And what really concerns me, this is a one group led market. Semiconductors, when you look at the individual chart patterns, are like insane. SanDisk is a perfect example. Intel's gone from under 20 to over 100, closed at over 100 Friday, just in 8 months since August. SNDK SanDisk has gone from about 300 up to about 1,100. Just insane stuff. Okay, so we'll keep tracking this. The SMH Semiconductor Index, as strong as it looks. Check out financials and biotech. You're not going to be, you'll be pretty amazed. I think that because we're so focused on the tech stocks. Look at biotechs. They actually have come down for 2 weeks. From 212, the weekly low was 163. It's 55 points off the high, and we barely bounced. Actually, Friday was a down day for the LABU. So biotechs are weak, and if you think that's bad, look at financials. They're just not really going the way the SMH is. If you put this next to SMH, you see a broad difference, don't you? So yeah, the financials could get going if they get above 149, but we're 14 points away and in danger of actually, because of the reversal on Friday, of this pulling back even further, although there is support in this area for the financial group. But still, financials and biotechs, not what you want to see to confirm what's going on with the broader tech sector. That's a major concern. All right, some of the major components for the NASDAQ 100, the big boys, the Mag 7s. Here's Apple. Apple, just short of its all-time high from December at 288.62. We reached 287.22, but backed off 7 points on Friday. It finished at the low end of the range. Not a good sign necessarily, that's for sure. Amazon making new all-time highs, one of the stronger ones. I just don't want to see this one under next week. A dive under 255.6 could be detrimental for the market. Google, new all-time highs, the leader, as strong as anything out there. Look at this stock. Doesn't get much stronger than that. I will point this out, though. The long-term channel top on Google going back 3 years was tagged on Friday. So again, if the market reverses, this wouldn't be a shocker to see Google come down. On the blow-off, though, 4, 10, 20, 30 may be doable if this market wants to go higher. Microsoft, pretty much a laggard, and you can't even get through the declining top line. Now, it pulled back Thursday to the moving average here, breaking support, bouncing back. It's kind of what's called a neutral right now, although it's above the moving averages. And a breakout of that pattern could be very bullish for the market. A breakdown, and we go back down in the 360s. Netflix was a stud, but it broke down hard after the earnings report. And I'm not clear what to do with this other than to tell you that it's in dangerous territory. Support is around 90, 91. We closed at 92 on Friday, so we have a problem here. And it's closed below the 50 now for 5-6 days in a row. I would say this is looking much more negative than it had for a long time on Netflix. Be careful with that. Meta broke down, rolled over, breakaway gap on the earnings report. Inside day Friday, not a good sign. There is some support there at the gap at 580, at 592. Can't break that, otherwise we're going to get a lower level, and this could help the market fall apart. Now, it's possible it's a V bottom with a right-hand extension, but it's got to hold it right there and go back up again. Right now, Microsoft is dead in the water for me. Nvidia was looking good, new all-time highs Thursday. Plunged Friday, 11 points or 5.3%. Coming off of a new brand new high, almost left an island reversal, not quite, but still not a good sign for the market either, especially if it goes back below 190 next week quickly. 188.90 is the key support zone right now, right there for Nvidia. Keep an eye on that one. And Tesla, well, Tesla's done very well the last day or so. They can see that the V bottom of the right-hand extension so far is held. And the 3-day pullback was followed by a spike on Friday on lower volume, I want to point out. So may not be legit or as important as it would be if they came with bigger volume. I think the key is still going to be the 410.15 zone. If you can get up through there, you also break the moving average, and you have a different story for Tesla. Right now, it's positive neutral, but you got to be careful with that too. So, some of these stocks look iffy. Let's go backwards here. Tesla looks okay. Nvidia looks good, but the pullback Friday's disconcerting. Amazon looks terrific. Apple looks bullish, but pulled back off the high dramatically Friday. And then there's Netflix, which does not look good, and Meta, which doesn't look good either. So it's a mixed bag, and it's not a pretty one. The market's doing what it's doing pretty much without the Mag 7s, but not without the semiconductors. And let's take a look at the groups we follow closely. Again, one more time. The SMH, powerful move. But you're not getting the same thing from financials and biotechs. That's disconcerting. One more look. Financials and biotechs. Look, it's not a bearish chart, just they're not keeping pace with that. We'll see if the SMH can pick everybody up, or it's just going to be those two groups drag semiconductors down. But when you see somebody semiconductor moves, let's just take a look at SNDK. How about last August? This was, did I say 300? I misspoke. 40 to 1200, 30-fold, 8 months, and doesn't look done. Look at Intel. Every semiconductor of a major proportion looks like that. This is an extremely overbought group, leading the market higher with the rest of the groups not doing much at all. And that, to me, is disconcerting. Market could turn down at any moment, but momentum still carries the day for now. All right. On the other groups that we follow closely, gold and silver, to me, are disastrous looking. Every time I look at this chart, I see a huge move up. I took the GDX from 34 to tripled, 117, down hard and bounced, and then roll back. Silver. There's been an ugly downtrend since it reversed. This is a 1-2 bear flag, 3-4 rising bear wedge, and come down and try to bounce, maybe. Only if this gets back above 144 would I say it could be reversing. But if it fails in this range, I'm still looking for 75.80 in that area, 77.80 on a fifth wave down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave down. So gold and silver to me are dangerous, and there's so many individual stocks that look toppy to me. Look at Franco-Nevada, FNV. That beautiful head and shoulders. It's one of the leaders in a group. Royal Gold, Franco-Nevada. Again, these are very toppy looking charts. I'll leave you right there. And what about oil? Well, look at the USO and the UCO. Very bullish charts. There's no top in them yet. There was a big nasty reversal. It looked like on Friday. Not terrible. It didn't close at the low for the range, but individual oil stocks still look pretty good. And you'll see a few of them later on as we get to them. So let's get to them. Not necessarily oil. We'll just get to the alphabetically. We'll start with AAOI. What a move, folks. What a move. As recently as November, this was 18.5. November. It's now tenfold. 5 months. 900% in 5 months. And I got news for you, folks. This doesn't look like it just broke out Friday. It could very well be 250 or 300. It's crazy, but you want to also take a look at AOX, which recently came out. Could very well be 100, 140, 150, or something crazy like that. Keep your eye on that ETF. All the tech stock ETFs are going wild, but you got to be careful. ETF for Apple, AAPU, also popped to resistance Friday. Now some biotechs. ACRS, beautiful rising channel, continues to look strong. There's a double top up here near 5, 5.25. I think it gets there. And then maybe moves as high as 6.5, 7. ADEA, software, breakaway gap, consolidate, and sharp run up from the mid-teens to the low 30s, targeting 40 or better. The stock looks great. ADUR, after many months of consolidation, appears to have broken out Thursday, Friday. Now, it did pull back from the prior high and resistance across there, but a breakout from this level, this thing could take off. AEHR, strong run up from March, April. AEHR is one of our favorite trading vehicles. I know GC likes this one. This is from 29 to 102, quadrupled, pull back to test support right there. Seems to be holding. If we can get up through this area, this might blow off with the market too. But I would keep a tight stop on this one under 76. AIRS, interesting inverse head and shoulders, pop to the neckline. Something to watch next week. If Air Sculpt breaks out, might very well get a run up towards 6. AKAN, big reversal Friday, but what a run. Literally in 8 days, 3.25. Friday's high, would you believe, near 79. Insane, but that's what it is. If it stabilizes and goes higher, we might see 100, 110, but I wouldn't play with this stock. Careful. ALMU, coming out of a long, nearly year-long consolidation, a strong rising unbalanced volume, the stock is spiking. Targeting low 30s, high 30s or better. Alto, beautiful breakaway gap out of a base, a 1, 2, 3, 4 rising flag, looking for 7. AMD, well, again, another example of a semiconductor stock and why the SMH is where it is. 192 to 362, 170 points in a month. The AMDL ETF only has gone from 10.75 to 37. And so, look, these are all extended, but momentum is phenomenal on all of them. Okay, ANPX, one of our favorite longer-term runners and movers, still running, looking great. 28, 35, etc., etc. Targets. NRO breakaway move, pop wedge, pop coil, pop flag, rising channel, 31 target. ARTV breaks out of a base and pulls back. It starts to move again, looking for 14 and 16. Arrowhead, great long-term chart, maybe coming out of this recent multi-month consolidation with a target of 90. ASYS in the semiconductor group, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth wave, well underway, but could reach mid to high 20s. Atomera, another junior semiconductor with a breakout last week, a pullback retest, and then a spike. We can get to this zone, we might get it back up into the 15 and 18 range. And one of my favorite, if not my favorite chart pattern of the year, AXTI. And just in August of last year was under $2, folks. Friday's high, 99. Incredible 100-fold move, in about 8 months. Gotta love it. Friday alone, it jumped 19 points. Where's the target? 130. Woo! Banned. Well, explosive breakaway gap Thursday, a big follow through Friday. I'm not sure how much further they can take this before it's going to back off, but look at the beautiful base that this stock has built and now broken out. Could be the initiation of a new uptrend. Most likely it is, but there's going to be better entry ups. BTE in a very strong junior oil group continues to push. Has gone from $1.40 to $5 and looks to me like it could be 6 or 7. BTSG, rising channel with a breakaway pop on Friday, jumping from 47 to nearly 55, up 9%, and that's a breakout day. BW, one of my favorite charts for junior stock, but check this out, 22 cents. 2 weeks ago, traded almost $19. Now a flag pattern is developed. Something to watch. Next target, 22.90. CADL, large base pattern, breakout, but a big 50% fib retracement. More than I wanted to see. However, Friday was a bullish engulfing bar. Volume picked up. It may be on its way back up again. It targets at 6 3/4, 7.5. Kimura's breaks out of a base and it's trending. Target is 32. Celcuity with a big breakaway gap and a strong rising channel went into a multi-month consolidation. But boy, their breakout Friday. Jumping 31 points to 148. Maybe on its way to 175 and even 250. CLYM breakaway pop out of a consolidation coil and a rising channel. Doesn't look done yet. Indeed. Target 11. CMPS, tech trader swing. Like this look. Targeting 12.5 and 15. Vita Coco exploded last week and broke out to new highs. Based on the all-time angle of ascent, I'm going to be looking for perhaps move to mid-70s. Critical metals pull back. I like the overall look, however, especially if it gets over 14.5. Then I'm looking for 18 and 20. Q exploded Friday, 15.5 points or 105%. Something big is going on here. I'm not clear what, but just a month ago, this was a $5 stock. It's trading 6 times higher than that right now. Careful, overbought. CVE, very strong little oil and gas stock that's gone literally in a year from 10 to 30, tripled. Has broken out above everything. Is clear sailing into the low 30s. CWVX, the ETF for CoreWeave, breaks out, pulls back and forms some sort of consolidation. Next stop, 50 and 60. Dell, love this long-term look. Recent breakaway gap and rising channel tell me we're going about 250. The ETF for Dell, DLLL, may run towards 75.80. The RTS, nice rounding bottom breakout, consolidated wedge, breakout, pull back, retest, and then popped on Friday. I'm looking for 11 and 13. Ecovist, specialty chemicals, breakout, rising channel, and a strong one. Extension target now, it's going to be closer to 16, 17. EDSA, I just want to point out, when you see a really, really big move and then a very tight coil, when it breaks out, it often does this, and that's what it did. But look at this move. 5 to 21, fourfold, 3 weeks. Fantastic. At resistance, however. Eaton Pharmaceuticals breaks out with a spike to new all-time highs on Friday. I'm looking for a momentum move into the low to mid-30s. Fuel cell, beautiful base pattern emerging with big volume. Twice I almost pulled the trigger on a swing on this one, but didn't. Nevertheless, I think it is a swing trade, but I'd like to see it back and fill a little bit, targeting high teens. Long-term pick FEIM has gone from 12 to 60, fivefold, and doesn't look done. This consolidation appears to be maybe breaking out. Longer-term target, how about 85.90? Figs in the garment industry, what a great chart. I'll target 18 and 22. Fastly pulled back, gave us a nice opportunity. It's coming back nicely. If you break out here, you're going to see 34, maybe high 30s. The ETF for Google, GGLL, broke out to a triple top of the stock did. This might very well be 150, 175. Galat, which I originally gave you at 7 3/4, made it triple to 21. It's pulled back and wedging now. Appears to be emerging again. If it does go again, it gets to 21, 23, and 28 are targets. GPRE, large 1, 2, and 3 is underway. I like the way it's trending, targeting 21. GSIT coming back big time after getting hammered last month. 464 to 825, nearly doubled. It's at resistance at the gap here and declining tops line. We get through here, it might spike right to 10. Halliburton in the oil sector, beautiful rising channel, continues to go, looking for 50. IMMX breaks out of a base, spikes up in a 5-wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave advance, pulls back in wave 2. This is 3 and 4. 5th wave could get you 16, 17. And what can I say about Intel other than a beautiful base, breakout pennant, breakaway gap, another large coil, and amazing move just since March the 30th. We're talking 1 month, folks. 40 to 100. Incredible. Iridium, one of Kathy's favorites, little inverse head and shoulders, a rounding bottom, breakout, flag, surge, retest. Target, 50, 1, 2. KOD broke out here. Falling wedge, we put a swing on it. That stock went from 12.5 into the mid-40s. My target's 60. Wow. Kodak, Eastman Kodak. Big base, up against key resistance. Extended. But boy, I tell you what, if it breaks out here, big things could happen. Copen Tech Trader swing. Looks like it's still stepping its way higher. I have targets at 6, 7, and 8. Lithium Argentina. Very strong rising channel. Extension targets are 12 and 15. LASR. Strong chart, as you can see, breakaway gap in May. At that point, the stock was trading in the 6, 7 range. And last week's high was over 80. Extension target, if this continues, 90. LITX, the ETF for light, LITE, momentum. Let's have you look at that. Look at this chart. Doesn't get much better than that. A year ago, 49. Currently, 955. Nearly 20-fold. The ETF LITX broke out Friday. I think it's going to extend towards 60 and then 70. LLYX, the ETF for Eli Lilly, broke out Thursday, Friday with a breakaway gap and an extension, looking for 21 and a half and 24. Lightpath, tech trader swing, broke out, pull back. It needs to hold there ideally. Retesting 16 is your target. Lunar, base, breakout, coil, pop, retest. If that holds right there, I would look for a move towards mid to high 30s. LWLG also swing, continues to press and impress, breakout there. Consolidate for a month, break out again, pull back and retest, break out again. I'm looking for 20. MANE, recent IPO with a very strong hair growth drug result, exploded and pulled back. If it consolidates without much deterioration, you might see 125. MRAM, tech trader swing, exploded and pulled back. We put a swing on it. It's then subsequently moved from 17 to 22 and 5 points on Friday, and my extension targets the mid-20s. NBIG, the ETF for NBIS, break out of a base, pull back and test and pop, looking for 18 and a half and 22. NEBX is another, same stock, targeting 85 and 100. NSR breaks out of a base, breakaway gap, rising channel, hard pullback but held support. And trending upward, mid-channel line 30. New Pacific Holdings, beautiful rising channel, extension target 7 and 9. Nutanix, I'm showing you this because I like this company. The stock had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave decline. Nice basis for me. Watch it carefully. Friday it popped, it got the resistance to pull back. I needed over 43, 3.5, and then I'm looking for 47 and 50. Navitas breaks out of a base, explodes and pulls back, holds support. Now looking for this to retest and take out 19.5, get to 23. OCC, a current new favorite of mine, 4 to almost 14, then a hard 3-day pullback, held support, turned right around, and Friday was a big day for it. It's a jump 167 or 1621. I think the stock heads up to 16, 17, 18. Ondas, ONDS, still coiling, consolidating, but the long-term chart tells me eventually this breaks out, heads to the mid-teens, maybe high teens. UMA, multi, like a year and a half long coil, and then finally the breakout, and look at this run up. Large inverse head and shoulders that can support a big move to mid-20s, at least. One of our old swings, PL, and a top pick of the year, broke out, flagged, popped, another flag, another pop, another flag, and just keeps moving higher. Eventually looking for 60 and 70. PRLD in a rising channel with a target of 7.25. PTEN, one of our junior oils that I gave you when I broke out of the base, I think it was around 7. It made it up to 12 and change. Actually, 12.57 on Friday. It provided oil doesn't get crushed, this might extend to 14 or 16. Quick breaks out of a base, has exploded of late with an extension target of 20 on momentum. Relay Therapeutics, a beautiful rising channel. A nice reversal Friday, but it closed weekly. So keep an eye on this one. Target is 15.5 and 18. RLMD, one of my top picks of the year. We break out of here, and Friday was a new nominal new high. Get across 8 though. I'm looking for 11 and 14. Roy Vant looking great, but Friday wasn't a good day for it as it popped to resistance and reversed to support. Any breakdown here, and you may want to stop this one under 26. And breakout gets me into the low to mid 30s. Revolution Medicines, with a strong drug report and a breakout, is consolidating. If it breaks out, 175 and 200 are my targets. Logic broke out. It's consolidating beautifully here. Looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth wave target 11. SGML trending upward after breaking through a triple top. Now looking for an extension to 30 and 33. Sky T in a strong semiconductor group has kind of lagged a little bit, but the long-term chart is still very strong, provided it holds 30. My target's 35 and 38.9. SNXX we showed you earlier, that's the ETF for SanDisk. So UN, I was remiss not giving you a swing on Friday. I like the long-term downtrend broken, moving averages curling up and turning around. The stock consolidated above them and then broke out Friday. It not only broke out, it broke through resistance. Swing targets are 13 and 16. Sphere continues to push, and I believe it's a $200 stock. SPIR. After breaking out, we put a swing on it right up to the target and pulled back. It's reversed, targeting 24, 28, 31. SSL and the chemical group, V bottom, rising channel, consolidating, 15, 17 targets. Smith & Wesson, the gun manufacturer, breakaway gap, rising channel, hasn't been this strong in a long time. I'll target 18. The strength of the solar group has tanned their ETF doing this. If we can get that above the next target at 60 area, 61, I'd look for mid-60s. Tigo, one of my favorite long-term swings, which I gave you, I think it was back in August, September at 39. It's moved to 84 and looks to me like 100 and 115 are targets. Trox breaks out of a long downtrend, forms a wedge, pops that, larger wedge. This one looks really good, has good momentum, 12.5 and 14 targets. TRT, breakaway gap, spike up, big pullback, and a wedge forming. Looking at the long-term chart, this could really run here, especially if the group continues. Keep an eye on this one, TRT, target mid-20s. TRBI, a tech traded top 20 pick, came down the last couple of weeks after breaking out, but should it hold here, I'm looking for 17 and 20. Tasha broke out and is flagging, looking good, targeting 7 3/4 and 9. TSLA, provided Tesla does well, we might see this one spike and break out above the key 1445 area, which is your first target. Beyond that, you might see 17. Twilio, with a massive breakout on Friday at a breakaway gap, broke through a monster 1-year base pattern. This stock can accelerate into the 200 range, maybe more. UAMY and the critical metals group broke out. It looks like a swing here. Once it gets to 14, I would look for 17.5 and 20. USAR, an ETF we just put a swing out on, I believe broke out Friday. I'm looking for 32 and 40. VIV, been in a big downtrend, but I want to highlight Friday's breakaway gap and big volume. They're included in the S&P 500. This one could accelerate. I'd look now for 190 and 205. VIAV has been as strong as anything, moving from under 9 to near 60. And inside day Friday, we may accelerate. VIR, base breakout, wedge, pop, retest. 13 and 15 targets. Viasat, one of my more successful swings, went from 12 3/4 to 66. Doesn't look done yet. Targeting 75. Watt, one of our best swings of the year, 10.5 to 37 plus in just in 60 days, folks. It's at the top of the channel, overbought, but I don't think we're done with this one. Wolf broke out of a base, popped and pulled back, and then spiked on Friday. This is the tech trader swing as well. I think this one goes much higher, perhaps in the low 60s. Excuse me. Low 40s to start, and then mid to high 40s after that. Wolf, WULF, also broke out. It's got a rising flag. This one might move into the high 20s. And Xanadu, after an explosive move and a large wedge may have broken out Friday. Keep an eye on this one for a move into the high 40s, low to mid 50s, better. And folks, that's it on the long side. Just a few shorts to show you, and we'll finish up today. DraftKings remains, despite the market rally, in an ugly downtrend. You can see if it breaks this pattern, and it looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4 fifth wave. Gets me down in the 16, 17 range. Dollar Tree, head and shoulders top and coming down, looking lower. Target 87, 88. Duolingo, moving back up a little. So we'll see if this is enough. But if it rolls over, high 60s may be a target. Wow, that's a big drop from where we are. ELF still weak, broke that big bear flag. It's formed another one that's beginning to roll over, targeting 50 and 44. GRAL, Tech Trader swing short, broke down. Even the market rally has gone nowhere. This coil, if once it breaks, could lead to low 30s. IRTC is very similar, big head and shoulder top and breakdown, big bear flag. We're going lower, perhaps 95. Wow. Las Vegas on the precipice of maybe rolling over, $45 target. Planet Fitness, massive head and shoulders, continues to just go lower and break support after support. Next target, 60. RMD broke down, broke its trend line, broke support, rallied back, failed, and rolled over hard. It's on support. Should it break here, there's a long way to go down further towards the 175. Snow bounce to resistance, might break out here, but you can put a stop over 158. But if it rolls over, the retest of the low would be in play at about 120. SRAD broke down hard and has got a bear flag and looks lower to me. Sports Radar Group is headed probably for 10. And finally, Technoglass TGLS, pretty ugly in a bullish trend market. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4 to fifth wave. Might take you to the low 30s. That's an exhaustive look, folks, at over 100 longs and a couple dozen shorts, but more importantly, the underlying technicals and some of the larger cap ETFs that we follow closely. That should give you an idea of where we're headed. But it's going to be a very treacherous, dangerous market going forward. Be prepared. Please review this a couple times. I'll talk to you on Monday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye, everybody.